Hello, my name is Danielle Kilcullen. I am the founder of Exploring the Wonder Years, and today we are here talking to small business owners, all things small business ownership. I'm really excited to speak with Nichelle and Steve, which in a moment they'll get a chance to introduce themselves. But again, we're going to be talking today about leadership, vision, strengths, challenges, and goals, especially during this time of a pandemic. Okay, we're going to start off with Nichelle. Can you introduce yourself? Tell us about your business. Tell us everything.
Hi, I'm Nichelle Bayanihan, and I am the owner and founder of Bevy's Best Soap and Body Care, which is a company where we focus on wellness products, body products, such as natural made soap, body scrubs, body butters, serums for your hair, for your skin. And we make our products with love. It's formulated with natural ingredients for your entire family. Yes, in a nutshell.
Amazing, amazing. When did you start your business?
I started my business, launched it in November 2020. So it's a young business, very new, very small right now. It's been a ride, a roller coaster ride. I mean, with the challenges and, the highs and the lows and everything that's happening in our society and the world, a lot of that has really impacted my business in a positive way. And when I mean positive way, it's an inspiration for me to keep going and making sure I develop products with care. And even though I may not know you, I want you to get one of my products. And even though you're having a bad day, if you're using a soap from Bevy's Best Soap and Body Care, for that moment in time, I want you to feel cared for, and I think that with this pandemic, it really just brought us back to that. Right. So, so it's a new business. It's been 6 months? Yeah, so far. And I love it.
Great.
And I welcome everything that comes my way with the development and where it goes.
Yes. You're making really great points about wellness, and also I love that it's a new business, and to see where it could possibly go is amazing. The other thing I want to say, I have started to add some of Nichelle's items in my self-care packages for my clients, and so just as a customer, when I first opened the package that was sent to me, the area where I was working smelled like your products for a really long time. And I can't remember what it was that I purchased, but it reminded me of the color of purple. Like if purple had a scent, this item that I purchased was that.
Yeah.
That's what my house smelled like. So
yeah. Oh, good.
Yeah.
That was the intent. I think I remember it was one of the soaps that it was one of the I think it's what's the name? Purple Blush. It was Purple Blush, and I remember the colors. And I remember creating it, and I'm like, I need something that smells purple. So I chose a fragrance that would, oh my God, I'm delighted to hear that. I'm so delighted to hear that.
Mission accomplished. Check.
Yes. I want it to smell like purple, and it did. Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right. I want to introduce Steve. Steve, tell us everything.
All right. Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Steve Liverpool, aka Canadian Guyanese. That's for my tag of being Canadian and Guyanese. So I go by Canadian Guyanese. So my business is Steve's HotPot, which was created and established July of 2020 in the height of the pandemic, if you will, because I just have a love for food. I'm a foodie. I enjoy going out to eat, and I enjoy various cultures of eating all types of food. So I'm grateful that I grew up in a household that exposed me to not only our culture of eating food, but also trying various other cultures of eating food. And that kind of opened my palate of not only eating the food, but also trying to cook it. So, and I think I'm I'm good at trying all the various other types of cultures, trying it out myself, and then kind of perfecting it to my style. And that's kind of what Steve's Hot Pot is. So it's a mixture of things I learned or tried along the way, is things in terms of family recipes that I more or less watched and grew up in the kitchen, literally grew up in the kitchen, and just with my grandmother over her shoulder, watching her cook, because she would cook every day. And I'm in the kitchen watching, whether it's to get a bowl with the batter and lick it when I'm finished, or, helping her chop up some onions or peel some potatoes or grate a coconut. I did it all, And so that is kind of the makeup or the body of the home cook essence, that I bring. So I've gone and I've ate out at different Caribbean restaurants, and I look at proportions, and I look at people's reactions, because as Caribbeans, we'll tell you straight out, if we don't like it, we don't like it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so it's good to bring that essence to my food and to bring it to people, because that's really the love right there. The love is me putting the passion into the cooking, and my love is the reaction. So you like it and loved it, and you telling a friend to tell a friend, that's helping me, and that's that's a gratitude that you're giving me, and it's more than enough, and other than you supporting Steve's Hot Pot. But like I said, we're small. We just started July, and we're seasonal, right? So being that I have a full-time job, so it's seasonal. So the season's going to get ready to pick up again July. So I'm just in the process of kind of getting my ducks in a row and starting up again. So that's who we are, and the makeup and the history.
That's amazing. I think for both you and Nichelle, the word that came to mind for me is really love for what you're doing, love for others. And so something that I was thinking about as you both are talking, who is your target audience? As a small business owner, it's who are your people? How would you answer that question? Nichelle, if you want to start, please.
Well, my target audience would be, it's pretty, it's broad. In my mind, when I first started formulating, the word that came was family. So I'm like, okay, because that's how my stepmother raised me. It's not about you, it's about others. That's what your existence is here for. You are a vessel. So I was thinking about family. So when I'm formulating the products, I'm like, okay, let me make sure I'm making products that kids can use, that are formulated for also for mothers, like new expecting mothers. I don't have those yet, but I'm working on it. But for like mothers, newborn, men, women, people who have moderate skin conditions that that my products could possibly help. So and also my clients and my customers, I want them to feel like, okay, they don't have to break the bank to pay for this like highly expensive product to get superior results. I want my products to be affordable, but luxury at the same time. I don't want you to be like, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend like $50 for like something that's like 0.5, like, ounces or something like that. No, that's like crazy. So people who love natural products, that are into, essential oils, people who love bright and fruity, so that it's like a mix. I don't really have like a specific lane, because like I've been formulating for different types, but the core is coming back to family. I want to be able to formulate a product that can also be multi-purpose. There's a lot of people who don't like to have multiple products around the bathroom, or like, so I hope my products can be targeted towards people who are minimalistic. Like I want you to be able to use my bar soap or like a skin oil, like for your hair. Like, let's say you can use my bar soap for a shampoo bar. You can use it on your face. And if, when I formulate hair oils, I want you to be able to use it on your skin or on your like face. So I guess I hope I answered that. I hope I answered it. Yeah.
Great. Steve, what about you? Who are your people?
Well, the funny thing about food is it doesn't really have a category, because that's something that everyone enjoys, everyone likes to eat. And the funny thing with Caribbean food, everyone enjoys it. So it's not a specific group per se, but I am full range in terms of young, mid-age, and I call it seasoned, right? So those are my categories. So the young 20 to 30s, the mid-age 40 to 50s, the seasoned 60 plus. Everyone enjoys, a good cooked meal. So that more or less is the target, because it is not necessarily, I'm cooking for Caribbean people alone, or cooking for Black people or white people or Hispanic people. Everyone enjoys the food. So the range is wide when it comes down to the area.
Yeah, beautiful. And one of the things we'll talk in a moment, toward the end, I want you to share your contacts and things like that, and I'll share them in the comment section for the YouTube channel. But I also want us to be able to find you. So we'll come back to that. But let's start with, what is your mission or your vision for your company? What fuels you? What is your why? Why do you get up every morning and do this thing that you do? Steve, Nichelle, who wants to start?
I could go first. The mission for me overall is to obtain and have a food truck. Because I thought about, opening a restaurant, and I was like, I don't know really if I want to do that. Do I really want to put that kind of effort and investment into that type of venture? So I said, what is something that is affordable and manageable to me? And the route is a food truck that I think is more realistic to me. So that's the end goal. So in the process now, from now until then, it's building the brand, generating the customers or the clients, and or even investors who believe in the vision and who believes in the Steve's hot pot mindset, and continue to move forward and make this a possibility. So when you wake up, you're always kind of thinking, okay, what can I do? What can I come up with? Concept, design, just to constantly keep it fresh, being that I'm seasonal only for the moment, for now, that you still if there's no activity happening, you're going to lose people. So you want to still have some sort of activity that, hey, look, I'm here still, you know, I didn't leave, and bring something new. And it's funny because right before we had this meeting, I had an early meeting talking about just advertisement to, you know, potential graphic designer, just to say, hey, summer's around the corner. Hey, what do we need to do to kind of get this, you know, kind of revved up again? So you always have to have it on your mind as an entrepreneur, because the saying, scared money don't make no money. So you got to kind of be in it to win it for yourself. You know, you have to have the heart, the passion, the drive, because the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. Nichelle, what about you?
Well, the end goal for me, beyond, I mean, I would love to like have my product in like, you know, mainstream, you know, but the end goal for me with my business is to teach others. And I really get that from how I was raised. I mean, just briefly, like the way I was raised, I wasn't raised by my biological parents, and I am of mixed race. I'm part Filipino and African American, and you know, but then I was adopted by my stepmother, who was from Jamaica, and you know, she just raised me. So with her, like seeing her, she was a registered nurse and, you know, caring for others. And sometimes when I was a little kid, I would have to go to the hospitals with her and sit in her office and, you know, and just, I got a chance to see how she cared for people. And that's how she always raised me. It's not about you, it's about caring for others. So, and even at home, I mean, she didn't make a lot of money, but we found a way to survive. So we really practice a lot of DIY, you know, do it yourself. So, I mean, there was a time like, you know, my mom's like, you're not going to buy like hair moisturizer from the store anymore. I'm going to teach you how my grandmother taught me, like how to make hair oil or hair grease. And for example, grating coconut and like boiling it and like cooking it like a soup and then cooling it off and then taking the oil off the top and then putting it in the jar. There you go. That's your coconut oil for your hair, you know? So that is what really drives me. And unfortunately, you know, my mother, she passed in 2004 from like a, you know, fast moving cancer, you know, from colon cancer. And before she got her diagnosis, before we even knew that she was sick, we were having talks about venturing into creating a little something. That's what she would say, a little something, you know, to bring in extra income. She was on a fixed income, you know, and she lived in Florida. And the land that she lived on had a lot of natural resources like mangoes, coconuts, avocados, pineapples, you know, yams and stuff. And so we were really like brainstorming about how we could do this. But we didn't have the technology that we have now. We didn't have access to, I want to say, the materials. And plus, we didn't have the funding, you know, because at that time I was still young, I was working, but, you know, I wasn't making buku money. So we had to put it on the back burner. But now, you know, almost 17 years later, and, you know, what was happening in my mind, like during the pandemic, you know, with all the stores being closed and you were limited to when you could go out, you know, in the early days of the pandemic. And, you know, and I went back to the, like, I'm just going to make my own stuff, you know, like I know how to make soap from scratch. And, you know, I had like the basic materials here because it's important to know how to do for yourself in case what you're used to is not available. So And then I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna, make products. I mean, of course, I also took the time to invest in getting the certifications, like for formulating professionally. So I had to do that because this is things that people are putting on their skin, and research, really research. If you really want to start a business, do you have the capital? Like I know, Steve just said, you got to spend money to make money. So it is an investment. And in your first year, you may have to take a loss, but you can't just look at it as being a loss. You got to look at it as being, an experience, and it's part of the journey, with starting your own business. So this is all new to me. I mean, this is not like a lemonade stand, you got to pay taxes. There's a possibility that someone, can have like reactions to your products or something like that. You got to have insurance. So I really, really, really thought about it long and hard. And I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump into it and see where it goes. And another thing I want to mention, besides, making the products and the enjoyment that I get from it, it also helps with my mental health because I didn't know what the hell was going on when COVID time came. So constantly seeing, the news reports about hundreds of people dying every day. Remember, every day, and not being able to see your loved ones and go outside when you want to. And then all of a sudden you're wearing a mask and then you're wearing a face shield. And it's all these anxieties that come into play, because nobody knew what was happening. So I found myself being very high alert all the time, like on edge, and getting depressed because it felt like everything was just surrounded by this doom, like the end of the world is coming, and oh my gosh, if I step outside to take out the garbage, am I going to get sick? It was really that deep. And also thinking about my mom, I'm just going to be completely honest, like after she passed away, it was quick the way she passed. Mm-hmm. And, I had to, after taking care of her, like we had hospice at home, I had to go to Florida and live with her for 3 months and take care of her down there. I wasn't working, and it's a traumatic experience to see the stronghold of your family is no longer strong anymore. Yeah. So I had to grow up real quick. I was 27, but I had to grow up real quick and and just really make health decisions for my mom that I never thought I would be in a position to do. So I found myself during that time just working on autopilot. Mm-hmm. And when I came back to New Jersey and, I went back to work, my mental health was severely affected. Like I was depressed, not only just losing my mom, but I didn't know how to deal with these emotions I was feeling, because when you do hospice at home and you see the person take their last breath, it's traumatic. And I could talk about it now, but years ago I couldn't. So mental health has always been the number one key thing, because without your mental health,
definitely
everything just it falls down. Definitely. So this, in a sense, it helps me to deal with the residual grief that I feel every year when her death anniversary comes up or when her birthday comes up or something like that. When I'm making my products, I think about my mother. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, wow, I know she's looking down oh, what the picnic doing down there? What I mean? and I'm like, I hope I'm making you proud. So it helps with my mental 100%.
Yeah.
Thank
you for sharing that. I think you're sharing some really great, there's so much there to that's resonating with me. My work is in wellness, mental health, self-awareness, self-care. And so something that's coming to mind for me is, again, working the program, working your own, what you're putting out there, the product that you're putting out there for others is really helping you, as you have mentioned. And I want us to stay with this just for a minute and think about another question that I have is like, what does a self-care routine look like for you as a business owner? And Steve, you know, you also have another, a main job. Nichelle, I'm not sure if you, where you are with that, like what, if you have a 9 to 5, is this like a secondary? And I think that's the other thing that people don't see when you're a small business owner. There are other things that you're also doing, which in my mind makes it harder because you have like this thing you do during the day that you're very passionate about, right? Because you'll
Yes.
share. And then there's like a pause where you fill in your self-care routine, possibly have a meal here or there, and then you kick into like, okay, now my business. You know, let's say 7 to 9, 10, or my son who's 23 years old says, 2 a.m., Ma, go until 2 a.m. I don't know if I can wake up in the morning and then still be nice to people in my regular job. So what does self-care look like for you? Stephen, you start here, please. Like, what does it look like for you as a small business owner?
Well, the regular job, the gig, you know, working for the city Department of Education is very tough and demanding in its own right. So when the day is over and the job is done, it's really not over. The job is not done. So it still carries over, right? And that's if we was in school physically, it still carries over. So put in the height of the pandemic and we're home now doing remote learning, you times that by 3, you know, and that's how much more the work has kind of intensified in terms of online teaching, online work. So it's very demanding in itself, you know. And yes, teachers do not get paid what they're supposed to be getting paid. I'm going to advertise that and put that out there. So we need to get more in terms of a city job employee. But that being said, it's like, okay, what can you do? What can you come up, you know, in terms of a hustle or a second line of revenue of income, you know? So you got to kind of give that kind of thought, you know, do you want to have to go out there to another job where you're working, you know, in the evenings, which I've done that, you know, and so I left, you know, school at 3 o'clock and then I'm racing to get to a job for 5 o'clock and then working until midnight or 11. And then I'm like, gosh, I didn't check any schoolwork. I got to get some sleep. So it's so demanding. And so you really have to take thought into what that second career or second job could be, because you got to kind of, you know, plan it out and schedule it out, you know, accordingly, because in terms of self-care, you need your rest, you need your mental, you know, capacity, at least for, you know, your line of work that you have to do, you know, the next day to wake up and be refreshed. Because if you're not ready for those kids, you're gonna get ready. So things like that, you know. So then I said, okay, well, is it weekends? Then are you gonna have to take a weekend job? So that means you're giving up your weekends to work somewhere, you know, and then that's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then where are you getting your rest at? Where are you getting your mental, you know, processes of kind of what you need to kind of sustain you, or is it your spiritual, you know, rejuvenation, you know, that you need? So where are you getting all those things? So I take stock, piling all of that, and I said, okay, what works for me? Creating this business during the pandemic, you know, kind of just as everyone was kind of sheltered in, it's like, okay, how can you reach people, you know? So create food, deliver it to them so you don't have to worry about leaving your house, because I'm making deliveries and dropping it off and things like that. You know, in the early beginnings, you know, that's what I was doing. And then I'm creating my schedule, what works for me. So, you know what? If if I'm going to work from Friday evening now, and I said I'm going to work until 9 or 10, that's my Friday evening. So that means I still got the rest of the night to relax and kind of rejuvenate, right? And the weekend's the same thing. Maybe I'm going to start at 11. I'm not going to start right away, and then I'm going to go until the evening. Am I going all the way until 9 o'clock, or am I going until 7 o'clock? Again, you want to give yourself space and time. So being your own boss, creating your own schedule, that is, something that is beneficial. The flexibility, which allows you to take care of yourself in that self-care space that you need for your mental well-being, your overall health well-being, because cooking too is demanding, right? Because you're over there on the stove, and and I'm not just cooking like one meal, I'm cooking all various types of meals. So in that, right, you have to have enough time and space to do all those things, to be ready at your best, because the same way you give your 100% at your daytime job, you want to give your 100% at your passion or your gig or your hustle, the same way. So because people see it, people take notice, and it's like, okay, he's really passionate about this. He really enjoys doing this. Okay, so let's see where it goes. So that's my kind of take on the self-care and what needs to be done.
Yeah, that's great. I'm thinking something that's resonating with me there is the time management, how important that really is. And time management is self-care, right? Where you're setting those boundaries between all of the hats that we wear as a regular person, but then also as an entrepreneur, a small business owner, it's really, really important to have that time management so that you're taking care of yourself. Nichelle, what about you?
Well, yeah. Well, right now I am running my business full time. Due to the pandemic, I mean, I was working in IT solutions. I did a lot of mental work, troubleshooting, and, managing technicians and engineers. And I was with a company that I was there for 14 years, and it was high stress. But due to the pandemic, they had to cut positions and divisions, and it's unfortunate that I couldn't stay. So starting this business affords me the time to put my all into it 100%, because before I was working like nonstop all the time. And yes, I was working remotely from home, but when you work remotely, it's not a cakewalk. Your company, you work harder. So it was more like a 24-hour type thing compared to going into the office, and you're just like, okay, 9 to 5 and that's it, But so working remotely, it really put a lot of pressure to, making sure that like my accounts are up to date, and just doing everything that I could to just make sure I'm on my P's and Q's. And that was like another type of stress, but when my division closed, I'm like, okay, well, let me use this time to get back to what it is I really love. And I love wellness. I love beauty products. I love, my career has always been in the lane of service. Going back to what I got my degree in communications and like English. I love the arts. I love talking to people. I'm always curious about people and and just communication in general. So even though I didn't pursue a path in like, working for like TV shows and things like that, I found another way. And it was in the behind the scenes technical aspect of it. I built a solid career in IT and telecommunications, so it's still communications, but it's a different way. But, that journey for now has come to an end. And this is allowing me to just focus on my mental health and my self-care, which is doing something that I love, because the last thing we have right now is time. I think we get this misconception that I have time to do that. No, this pandemic has really put this mental shift inside of me that I'll do it later becomes do it now, because you never know what's going to happen. So it just really reawakened my curiosity, and it's just bringing me into a different, I want to say, exploration of myself. It's teaching me how to, discover, like, even though I wouldn't say that, like we're old people, but we're not young people. Like, we're not like in our 20s or 30s. We're getting at an age where you want to focus on, okay, what is the next phase of my life going to be? Like going, from my mid 40s and going into my 50s into 60s, and God bless if it's beyond, what is it that I can see myself doing that I will get joy from, that other people can learn from, and how can it make a positive impact in the world? Those were like the main things that I really focused on about, when I was creating this business. Like, what's the difference between us, a person buying like Dow soap and your soap? Yeah. Tell me the difference. And, and I thought about it. I'm like, well, the loving care that I put in my products, I know that I'm using 100% pure products. It's the alchemy of it. Making products is a lot. It's like cooking, what Steve is doing with his HotPot. So, you have to calculate the ingredients. You have to measure. You have to heat stuff up on the stove. You have to package it. You have to make sure your workspace is sanitized, make sure the ingredients that you're using is allowed in the United States. There's like, different levels to this game, so that really it's a journey creating this business. I don't know where it's going to go, but I'm optimistic about it. But my self-care right now is focusing on what I love, dedicating my mental energy and my physical energy to things that bring me enjoyment. Yes. And it's also teaching me, like, time management. I know you talked about that earlier, about time management, that work balance life. Yes. This is work for me, even though I'm home and I'm making products, and it may seem, oh my gosh, you're running your business full time. It's not glamorous. I work odd hours. I'm up sometimes at 3 a.m. Formulating stuff, testing products, researching. You're responsible for your marketing, your advertising, like my website, the graphics that go on the website, taking the pictures of the products, sending out samples for people to test. It's that work-life balance. You're responsible for everything. So you got to know when there's a shut-off time. So there'll be times where I'll just work like 3 days, like straight, obviously, within, reasonable, but I'll push myself. And then I have to take 2 or 3 days off just to mentally decompress, because I don't like making products when I'm in a cranky mood, when I'm in a bad mood or something. I can't, because I can't do it, because you mess up. Well, I find I mess up and the product's not made with love, Right. So yeah, you have to know when to say, hold up, time out. Let me just shut this down and just decompress. Yes. Great points. I want to
because both of your businesses, like mine, were created during the pandemic, what does post-pandemic life look like for you? What do you envision the changes might be, or things that you have learned from the pandemic that will continue post-pandemic? Who wants to start?
Well, post-pandemic for the business, well, I wanted to grow, but I just want to say I got vaccinated, right? I got my both doses of vaccination. So now I'm feeling more comfortable with socializing again. So right now I'm working on socializing again, like I'm reserving spots at flea markets, festivals, craft fairs, or even just hoofing it. I mean, I live in an area, well, I don't live too far from an area where it's similar to Fordham Road, you know, with all the shops and stuff. And I have my credentials with me. I'll take a couple of bars of my product and I'll just walk in the store with my business card. Hey, I'm a business owner and stuff like this. May I leave this with you? Or, you know, so post-pandemic, I hope I'm able to make more products that will bring people together. Like my ultimate goal, and I hope it happens, like I know in October, there's the Circle of Sisters conference, you know, and I don't know if it's going to come back, but just being able to be social again and to communicate with people again, because yeah, it's different from selling a product behind a website, but when you're in the person's space and you're conversing and about the product, it leads to other things and you find that you have things in common, and that's how you build relationships. So that's what I'm really focusing on post-pandemic, you know, communicating with people more, and just really stressing the importance of learning how to do things on your own when the resources are not available. Hopefully, I'm able to give back to my neighborhood where I grew up. I grew up in the South Bronx over by Cortona Park. It wasn't, you know, it wasn't fabulous, but, you know, hopefully somehow I'm able to connect with someone that maybe I can like volunteer and eventually teach younger folks how to start something small, like start your own business. You no longer do you have to be like this big corporation with all these dollars or something. Find out what you love. And if you want it to turn it from a hobby into a business, you can do it. And you don't need a lot of money, depending on what it is. But I want to be able to give back to the youth and just the people where I grew up. You know, it goes back to like when I went to college. Yeah, I went to like a college, you know, it was a pretty, you know, prestigious college. But my intent was never to go and then move like to a hoity-toity, like, you know, fancy area. That was never the intent. The intent was to get the education, to learn, and to come back and invest in my community. I didn't know how I was going to do it, but I knew at like 18 years old that, you know, I was one of those kids, like college saved my life. You know, I didn't have any other choice. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm paying student loans. I'm still paying student loans, but you know, who is it? But it really saved my life. So I was like, if someone like me that, I mean, I grew up in poverty, we were scraping by to pay tuition, you know, for high school and doing other things. If someone like me can, quote unquote, make it out, I want to be able to inspire other youth that, yeah, I was in your position, you know, too, and you can do it, you know. So that's where I see myself post-pandemic, besides, you know, making great things, you know, also just having an impact,
Yes.
You know?
Yes. Thank you. Steve, what about you and your work?
Post-pandemic for the business, you know, being that it, you know, seasonal, you know, of course, it's to maintain the clientele that, I received, and to grow, continue to grow with that, to reach more people, uh, um, in terms of online and, word and mouth, online advertisement on the different social platforms, and word and mouth when you do end up trying the food and buying the food and supporting and loving it, just sharing that information, giving feedback, online, or tell a friend to tell a friend, so of course, maintaining where I'm at and growing. But also, which I dabbled in with, is catering too. So where, I'm not just serving small plates, but catering for, small parties. I just, a couple weekends ago, I was catering for a ladies' night, and they just like, we want your,
Hey,
you want your
yeah.
food, and they was like, we want the full service. They was like, you're not coming, cooking and dropping off. You're coming, cooking in our, kitchen. You're serving the food. We want the whole Steve Hot Pot experience. So I was like, no problem, you got it. So things like that. So catering from small to maybe, big events. You got the holidays rolling around, right? Memorial, July 4th, and then, the Labor Day. So, it could be occasions, whether it doesn't have to be a holiday. It could be ladies' night. It could be, a birthday celebration, or just because, I want to get together, that kind of thing. So more or less, that's kind of post-pandemic. Other things that I've considered and thought about is doing pop-ups. So do a pop-up, everyone has these pop-up parties. Why not a pop-up, Steve's Hot Pot,
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
doing some pop-ups. I did that before, and it seemed to take on its own steam. So in terms of looking at venues or where I could create the Steve's Hot Pot pop-up. And then the last post-pandemic strategy or creativity mindset that I'm thinking about is teaming up. So teaming up with other entrepreneurs, and me and them, or me or her, or me or him, go and have our pop-up where, it's a double team. It's a, hey, you're gonna get your soap and you're gonna get fed at the same time, or you're gonna get your ice cream and you're gonna get, your jerk chicken, or you're gonna get this and you're gonna get that. It's a this or that type of mindset, and kind of, you're getting two things. You're supporting, two business, two like-minded people, goal-oriented type people. So that's kind of where, we're at this season, going into Steve's Hot Pot for the post-pandemic.
That's beautiful.
I like that you brought that. That's an important, I'm sorry to interject, but I just want to speak on it. Building relationships with others that may not be in the same industry, but you somehow connect. You can create something new, which is just like so wonderful. Like, for example, like a friend of mine, she makes her own jewelry, right? I'm actually wearing a piece now, Elaine Solil. You can find her on Instagram. Yeah. But she makes her own jewelry. And I'm like, I'm really inspired by your designs and, the shapes. And I know I can somehow, and maybe I can emulate that, but in a product, whether it's the color of the earring, the shape. I mean, I have all these different crazy molds and stuff, and things like that. And I'm like, well, maybe I can come up with like an artisan like color scheme or like a swirl design in my soap, and you can emulate it and like design your earring like that. So it's like, yeah, you want to look beautiful, but you want to smell beautiful too. Like, you know what I mean? So, when you foster relationships like that, like not only do you help yourself build, you're helping others build too, and then you can create something that is just like unorthodox, you know, out of the box. That's what's so wonderful about having your own business, the constant creativity that you get, you know?
Right.
So yeah, definitely. So you want some Caribbean food? Okay. You want some soap? You want to smell good too? Yeah, go over here. Here you go. You know, if I don't have it, oh, okay, well, I don't cook or anything, but I know somebody that makes delicious food. Here you go.
Right.
Or like with Danielle, you know, you're really focused on like wellness. Well, I know a mentor, a wonderful person that could probably lead you in the right direction. You know what I'm saying? So it's about the connections, that even the connection that we have right now between the three of us, it's creating that energy, you know, it's contributing to that creative and like care and wellness energy, you know? So,
and so, this is why we're here. I have some thoughts that I want to share with you. Also, when we say goodbye to the audience, stay with me for a quick second. There's more to this story that I want to share with you, but I want to first thank you for your time. I know time is money many times, and I know that time is precious. As you both have talked about time management and how important it is as a business owner. And so I just thank you. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. There's so many good things that you have both shared that I think the audience can walk away with. And so I appreciate you. And I'm going to share all of your contact information. I want to give you an opportunity to share from your mouth how people can find you, but I will also add it into the notes on the YouTube channel so they can find you that way too. But Steve, do you want to speak to how can people find you?
Sure. So we have two platforms at the moment. Is on Facebook. So Steve's Hot Pot on Facebook business page, and as well as Instagram, Steve's Hot Pot on Instagram as well. So basically, you'll see a picture, a symbol with a pot, and my name on it, Steve's Hot Pot. Those are points of contact where you can, seep through and look at the pictures and some of the comments, even from you, Danielle. You had shared a comment as well. It was posted and supported of me, and that's always appreciative and welcomed. And then, of course, direct line of contact is my number, 718-913-3195. I'm based out of Brooklyn. And for now, it's just the Brooklyn area. So if you're ever in the Brooklyn area and you're, once the season kicks off, you could go to the social media platforms, take a look and see, what's on there, see what you like, and go and call me direct or shoot me a text, and we could take it from there. So whether it's individual or if it's catered event, and our slogan always is "Let us cook for you."
Yeah, love that.
Thank you, Steve. Nichelle, how can people find you?
Well, I'm on Instagram. You can find me at Bevy's Best Soap and Body Care. I also have a website, which is Bevy's Best Soap and bodycare.com. I'm also on Facebook, and it's the same, Bevy's Best Soap and Body Care. And so, I mean, if you want to, send me products, or if you just want to write me, you can write me at Bevy's Best Soap and Body Care, P.O. Box 808, Union City, New Jersey, 07087. And and then I have email, but yeah, mainly you can just get on Instagram and find me. And in my description box or biography, I have the link to my website. So you'll get a chance to, if you want to see everything that I offer, you can connect with me that way.
Beautiful, beautiful. And my name is Danielle Kilcullen. I can be found on my website, exploringthewonderyears.com. And again, thank you both for being here. Don't go anywhere. Just give me one quick sec. I want to just thank you.
Wait, I have a question. I have one question for you, Danielle.
Yes.
Growing up, my favorite show was the Wonder Years. You remember that show?
Yeah.
With Fred Savage and
Yeah.
Donica Miller? That was the show. I mean, it went through every like aspect of like life.
Yeah.
You know, from little kids, stuff that we deal with, you know, identity issues and making friends, peer pressure. I always wondered, like, since we connected, was the name of your company inspired by that? Because I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. Like, people who are Gen Xers like us, we
Yeah.
know who the Wonders, you know, the Wonder Years and that epic song in the beginning. And,
Yeah.
you know, have a little friend, what is it? Need a little help from my friends and stuff. So I thought that was so cool, the name of your business. I always wondered if did that inspire the name? Or
it's interesting because the Wonder Years was a show, yes, like you have shared, was something that I did watch as a kid.
Yeah.
I'm going to say it was divine intervention when I was trying to think of a company name one day. This Wonder Years came into my mind. And so it was something, because initially this business was supposed to be an early childhood program that I was going to have this place where children could come, like a Head Start sort of, or daycare program. And so over time it evolved to this what it is now. And so exploring the Wonder Years came from my son. I was just throwing names around and was like, what could it be called? And exploring it was his ad on there. And so he's 23 years old. He has no idea about the Wonder Years, but the idea about the sense of wonder, you know, as kids, you know, as an educator, as an early childhood educator like Steve, this sense of wonder, children have that. And as we get older, life teaches us to get further and further away. And so the work that I'm doing with clients now is really to tap into that wonder. What are you wondering about is a question that often comes to mind in the journey of wellness, right? What are you wondering about? What are you feeling? Let's get real, right? Let's peel that onion. Let's get to the core. Where are these emotions and these thoughts and these behaviors coming from? And so yeah, I guess it was somewhere in the sauce, but there's more. There's always more.
I thought that I was like, wow. And because when I you know heard, I'm like, exploring the Wonder Years, it triggered like good memories about like that show. I'm like, oh my God, I haven't seen that show. I'm like, I wonder, you get it? I wonder if that was inspired like by, you know, just that, like that concept. But yeah. Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
This is like, I've been looking forward to this, like ever since like you reached out to me. I'm like, oh my gosh, not just the social aspect, but just having like positive exchange. And, you know, just really, thank you so much. Thank you.
Wait, stay with me one quick second. Thank you everyone for watching, and more information in the description. Take care.